Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts with another unboxing, another offline product gaming review. This is Shovel Knight, the treasure trove for the Nintendo Switch. To jump right into it, my physical copy here came with the update version 4.0a already on the cartridge, but sadly there was an update available. Now this collection, Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, comes with a mass majority of the DLC content right on the cartridge, so there was no redeem code or required download. I completely played the entire game offline and enjoyed all the on-DLC and the main game completely playable offline. Now, I do say majority of it because there is one little game that's not on the cartridge, and that is the Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. Now, I don't necessarily know if that counts because it was somewhat developed from another studio with the help of Yacht Club Games, so I don't know why that's not on there, but it isn't on the cartridge. What the cartridge comes with is the Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope, Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows, Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment, and Shovel Knight King of Cards, as well as Shovel Knight Showdown. I have played all of these completely offline and without this update and completely beaten them all and completed it, so there is fully on the cartridge. So I'm glad that this is a very most up-to-date version of Shovel Knight. Now, like I said, the Pocket Dungeon may be something different from another studio, so maybe that's why it's not on the cartridge. Now, I've covered Shovel Knight before on PlayStation 4, and I would have covered this treasure trove on Switch a long time ago, but there was promise of a PS4 version, and I was waiting for that one. But sadly, Yacht Club Games had to cancel the physical copy for PlayStation 4 a while back, and they made a big old notice about it to let everyone know, so it's very disappointing. Now, there could be a physical copy down the road in terms of like maybe from Limited Run Games, Fan Gamers, Special Reserve Games, and so on and so forth. Some of those boutique stores may take up the arms and make a physical copy for PlayStation 4, but no promises on that, but just keep that in mind. Now, I have played Shovel Knight before, and it was really nice to play the most updated version with all the DLC and content. It's relatively the same as the base game of Shovel Knight, but most of it is a connected story, like Plague of Shadows is kind of, I think that's a prequel to the main Shovel Knight Hope, as it just kind of takes place of a simple story, as well as you got Spectre Knight, which adds more prequel to the story, as well as the King of Cards is another prequel. It's all prequels to the main game, which is Shovel Knight, the Shovel of Hope. And it kind of summarizes the story and gives you some backstory between the characters. And the Shovel Knight Showdown is basically a 4-player brawl beat-em-up with a story mode to it. And you got a lot of characters you can unlock and so on. Thankfully, there is a hidden code you can look up, and it will allow you to immediately unlock everything, all the characters and so on, in case you don't really care to play the story or you just want to play with your friends and play every character immediately, which is something you don't see a lot nowadays games. But also I want to include that Shovel Knight, the Shovel of Hope, does include the swap gender characters within the game. So if you want to play where Shovel Knight is a girl and he's trying to save Shield Knight, which is a guy, but in the main game Shovel Knight is a boy and Shield Knight is a girl, you can swap the genders of the characters. That's also on the cartridge as well. I know this is a long-winded about everything that's on the cartridge, but it's just a complete treasure trove as a name. It's got everything right on the cartridge so you can fully enjoy the game, and there's tons of content. It adds a lot to the experience. Now, Shovel Knight is a retro-style kind of game. It just plays like an old classic NES. I think they said that they could have gotten this to work on the NES, but it had a few more extra colors that wouldn't have worked on the NES, if I recall. I could be completely wrong, but it would have been cool if they made a D-Make and it had like a working cartridge version of just Shovel Knight. You don't have to include all the DLC if you couldn't fit it on the cartridge, but I think that would have been kind of cool. But, as I said, it's a classic style. You run forward, start left, run forward, and it's got kind of like a Mario 3 map world navigation. Each level, it's kind of got like a Mega Man scene where you pick a level and fight the boss at the end, and that theme of that boss level, sort of like named Tinker Knight, which has got more of a machinery. You got Deep Knight, or was it Deep Knight or Treasure Knight? Can't quite remember, but he got like an underwater level. It's kind of just the thematic of themes of each boss. And overall, it's just enjoyable, fast, fluid, smooth experience added with the extra DLC, which kind of changes up the gameplay a little bit. Like you play as Plague Knight in 1, which he has got throwing weapons, but he gets knocked back further and so on. I'm not going to show you too much of the DLC items just to keep a little bit more mystery for you guys. It's pretty much the same thing as Shovel Knight with just a change of few mechanics. mechanics. The only one that really adds anything different is the King of Cards DLC, which is on the cartridge. It has a card game in the game. It's not nothing like truly amazing card game, but it does add quite a bit of replay value to the game in case you like to constantly compete against computer to compete in terms of the card game. I think that could have been cool to have a multiplayer mode for that. I don't know if it is. I couldn't find anything about it, but that could have included a multiplayer thing, and that could have added a lot of replay value in terms of with also the Shovel Knight showdown. That's personal taste, but I completed the game. I ran through the entire thing and fully offline, and it fully worked. It was just a gem of a time. It's disappointing that we didn't get a PS4 version, but I'm still glad that we got a physical copy that's so up to date with all the DLC and content on the cartridge. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Good music, definitely a good, interesting story, good, solid, smooth gameplay. I mean, Shovel Knight is well loved because it's one of those games that were like the Kickstarter was really starting to kick off, where games were really getting the Kickstarter theme going on, and Shovel Knight was one of those games that just really showed how much Kickstarter could really make a game that wouldn't have never succeeded or really gotten anywhere if it wasn't for Kickstarter. Now, there are some games that take advantage of Kickstarter and abuse it, but there are some gems of games that come out, and it would have never happened if it wasn't for Kickstarter. And Shovel Knight is just one of those games that really people point towards to, among other ones, but Shovel Knight was like one of the first big ones and really showed what could happen with Kickstarter. I really enjoyed the game. I really had the fun and everything like that. It was overall a good game to play as collectible, gathering up all the money, upgrading your character. It just has a slew of content. The base game already had a good amount of content to do. Now you got 3 other extra DLC campaigns as well as a showdown campaign, so you can then play against your friends in a 4 kind of battle royale, 4-player battle royale. You can't really go wrong with it. It's definitely a decent and fun time. As well as, like I said, it has the gender swap thing in case you want to play as a female Shovel Knight, or you don't want to use he and she. It even has the pronouns alteration in case you would like to have that changed. I mean, I give credit. They gave the attention to detail to make sure to let people play how they want to experience their games, and more options is never a bad thing in terms of how do you want to approach your games. I never have anything against it, so more options is always better for everyone. Then overall, I highly recommend it. Treasure Trove was a good little collection. I can't give promises if we'll get a PS4 version down the road. I was just trying to give a heads up that we could get it, and I'll definitely pick up the PS4 version if it ever comes out with the Treasure Trove one. I have no expectations of it, but it's not impossible. And I can't really recommend it more. I mean, I would have covered it a long time ago, but disappointed that they had to cancel the PS4 version. But I mean, it's still great that we got a physical copy, and they did a good job. Another example of how a complete on-cartridge or on-disc version should be. It's not hard. It's just a very simple, lots of product, lots of value, and a lot of value in terms of preserving the games because of DLC and so on. With all this push in digital future, games like this could fade away over time. I mean, we already see with older games. I mean, we're not getting physical copies and no backwards compatibility support. A lot of these games could fade away of time because of the lack of physical copy or push for keeping these hidden little gems. I'm not saying that Shovel Knight's a hidden gem, but it's nowhere near as big and loved as like Legend of Zelda or Mario. I mean, the big names is not the ones we need backwards compatibility reason for. Backwards compatibility is important for games like Shovel Knight and many other hidden gem games that need it because they could be forgotten. And that's the only way you can play it. So I'm going to done rambling. I definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of these retro style 2D kind of games, this is right up your alley. It's difficult, but it's not overly punishing. It doesn't got like extra guys. It's just if you die, you drop a portion of your money, kind of like a Demon Souls. You drop your souls, but in this one, you drop a portion of your money when you die, and you just kind of run through it again to get your money again. It kind of works the same thing as like a Souls game. Overall, they took a lot of the older times and took what was good about them and got rid of what was bad and just improved upon the mechanic. You can't go wrong with it. So like always, I try to leave links down in the description if you're interested to copy. Right now, we have only the Switch version, so down the road there could be a PS4 version, but don't put any hopes into it, but it could happen. So like always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!